Hey guys, got back from the theater from seeing Iron Man 3, and this, obviously, like I said in my last video, this is the start of the summer movie blockbuster season. That's a mouthful, to say the least. This is where the studios release all the big blockbusters, and this is the most profitable time of year for movie studios. And this is also one of my favorite times of the year because, like I said, the big blockbusters, all the big movies, um, some movies that I've been waiting for. Usually, always there's movies that I've been waiting for all year come out this time, and like I said, even though I said at the end of my video last time, I don't think this is. I Even though I said I don't think this is going to be as good of a year as last year's, which had the Avengers, Prometheus, The Dark Knight Rises, and Amazing Spider-Man. I'm still looking forward to this summer. It all depends on a few movies being good though, and one of those movies was Iron Man 3. I was really looking forward to this movie. Um, Especially after I saw the first trailer that was released, which made this movie look like it was going to be a lot darker than the first two movies. That interested me. For a character like Tony Stark, I thought it could take some dark turns. Um, Especially when I've heard that in the comic books that he becomes an alcoholic and all that stuff like that, which they kind of hinted at in the second one, but then went nowhere with it, which kind of pissed some fans off. By the way, my quick thoughts on the first two. First one, I loved Death. I thought it was a great movie. Thought Robert Downey Jr. was born to play that role, and I thought he should have got an Oscar nomination at least for that role because he's great in that movie. Even though I know that year actually did get a nomination for Tropic Thunder, which he was phenomenal in. But I thought he also deserved at least a nomination for Iron Man because he like I said, he was born to play that role, and it was awesome to see him finally get to star in a big motion picture, especially when he hadn't done that in a long, long time, especially because of his alcohol issues. Which is kind of funny, by the way. I had a buddy of mine who didn't realize that Robert Downey Jr. had been around for as long as he has. He's been around since the 80s. I seen him. I was watching Back to School when he was in that movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and he was in it for God's sake. And he's been around for a long time. My buddy didn't realize that he'd been around for that long. He didn't know he was until he saw Iron Man, which is kind of sad. And people realize now that he's a great actor. Also, before I get to the third movie, my thoughts on the second movie were that even though it wasn't as good as the first one, the second movie, I still like the second movie. I know a lot of people that give that movie a lot of hatred, and I don't understand where that's coming from. Although I think it's because it's mostly comic book fans that just weren't happy about it. Which, honestly, comic book fans are never going to be happy, no matter what. I went to these movies with open mind, so I enjoyed the first two, and so I was really looking forward to the third one. And so coming out of it now, I gotta say I really, really like this movie. This is a weird trilogy, I will say, and the fact that it doesn't follow the exact formula that usually happens in every trilogy. The formula goes like this: first movie's great, second movie is even better than the first one. It gets and just knocks it out of the park. And then the third movie sucks. That's usually what happens. Happened with the Spider-Man trilogy. Happened with the Godfather trilogy. Two really good examples. And but this trilogy did the opposite. First movie is great. Second movie got a very underwhelming reaction, and now the third movie is better than the second movie, and it improves on a lot of the problems of the second movie, which is really good. And then actually, I thought this movie improved on a couple problems of the first movie, which I'll talk about. One of the best things about this movie is the casting in this movie. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. is great again in this movie. He, like I said, was born to play Tony Stark, in my opinion, and I don't ever see. I know they've talked about that this might be his last movie, and I don't see how anybody else could play this role. I honestly can't. I don't know. They won't be able to have the same magic that Robert Downey Jr. brings to this character. He's really good in this role. Even though this movie does have some serious moments, he keeps this movie from being too overly serious, and that's a good thing. He has his witty, just quick as hell humor that he has is just phenomenal. I don't know what it is about the guy, but he is freaking. But this guy can be hysterical and be a great actor at the same time, which is phenomenal, which is great. His interactions with Pepper Potts and including the best bit in my opinion is where he buys her for Christmas like this big ass bunny, and it has bunny boobies basically, and it's the most inappropriate bunny that any guy would ever give to his girlfriend, and it's like, why would anybody do that? But again, it's Tony Stark. I also liked his interactions with the little kid that he meets in Tennessee, and the little witty banter that they have back and forth, and it's really good. He tries to be touching and funny at the same time, and it works. There's a lot of great new cast in this movie. Guy Pearce is phenomenal in this movie, and honestly, if you watch the trailers, you would not have guessed that he had a big role in this movie, but he really does. He has a really big role in this movie, and the funny part about it is that he's barely in the trailers, and I almost actually forgot he was going to be in this movie when this movie came out, when I was about to go see this movie. But I kept seeing his name pop up on the casting, like, on like the cast sheets, or the names of the cast and everything. And I was like, really, what's Guy Pearce playing in this movie? I didn't really understand what he was going to be playing in this movie, because I didn't barely see him in the trailers. And like I said, one of the best things about this movie is that the trailers are freaking misleading. The trailers do not really do the movie justice. It does not really tell the story. It does not give away all the big twists in this movie. Because this movie is unpredictable, and that's one of the things I love about this movie, is that it's very unpredictable. And it throws a lot of twists at you that some kind of come out of nowhere. There are some that really, good lord, there's a couple that really come out of nowhere that they are not resolved at all, and just feel like they're pointless. um, and it but at the same time, they're the the twist I'm thinking about off the top of my head that are really pointless were just really mere plot conveniences, and that they were also very minor, and because of that, I was able to overlook the looked at and not have a problem with that. Um, but while we're talking about twist and everything else, I guess I should get on to the one person I haven't talked about, which is Ben Kingsley. When I heard Ben Kingsley was going to be, I'm sure everybody's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about twist and Ben Kingsley? I'll get to that. When I heard Ben Kingsley was gonna be the villain in this movie, I was like, yay! I was like, I love Ben Kingsley. Like I said, I heard briefly of Guy Pearce, and then I heard Ben Kingsley was gonna be in this movie as the villain. He's also gonna be playing a villain that is basically Iron Man's main arch nemesis, from what I've been told. I never read the comics again. Uh, he's playing, like I said, his main arch nemesis, the Mandarin, and basically I was told that this was basically the Joker to Iron Man's Batman. So I was like, okay. I was like, that'd be kind of cool. And from what I saw in the trailers, he was all over those trailers. That's, like I said, one of the things about he was all over the trailers, and his line deliveries in the trailers were great. So I was really looking forward to his role, and honestly, I loved him in this role. He's getting a lot of praise. So him and Guy Pearce are both getting praise. I'm glad Guy Pearce is, but I love Ben Kingsley for the scenes that he's in this movie. Um, he can be definitely be very threatening at times, but also I was worried. I was worried towards the beginning that maybe this character might become a little too corny, especially after he delivers like a big monologue about fortune cookies in America being made in America, and they act like they're Chinese products. Yes, there is a monologue about that, and I was like, oh god, this might be really bad. I said that I like the opening monologues that he has are really good, and then he delivers that one, and I'm like, oh god, this might become really corny. But then they throw a twist, and they throw a wrench in the middle of this movie that's gonna get a lot of people pissed off. I can tell you that right now. If you're a fan of the comic books, actually have a friend to work with who is was looking forward to this movie like I was, and she really was looking forward to Mandarin being in this movie. If you're one of those people that are really looking forward to Mandarin being in this movie, you are gonna probably be really mad. If you're a big fan of Mandarin, and I know she was, I haven't seen her reaction yet. I can't wait to work with her and see her reaction when she sees this movie. You might be really mad because there's a twist that happens halfway through this movie that's revealed about the Mandarin that, like I said, is really going to make people mad. Mandarin is not the main villain in this movie. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat without spoiling it. He is not the main villain in this movie. And it's one of the twists, but there's also one other twist I'm not going to give away that is going to divide people really badly, especially if you're a comic book fan. I'd heard a lot of people say, I saw a lot of reviews say this, and I actually agree. I actually looked up like kind of the little bit about the character, and I'm like, wow, this is like, I've heard that he had like great battles with Iron Man and all that stuff like that. He doesn't in this movie. I'm gonna tell you that right now. There is no battles between the two of them. If you're expecting like big gigantic battles, I kind of compare this, and this is almost a bad example. I kind of compare what they do to Mandarin character to what they did with Venom and Spider-Man 3. But the difference between what they did with Venom and Spider-Man 3 and what they did with the Mandarin in this is that I think it works. It definitely works. And the reason why it works is because of the guy that got to play him, Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley plays this great. Like in Spider-Man 3, they had Topher Grace play Venom. But Venom was great. The design for Venom was great. But what they did with Venom pissed me off. But I think because of the actor they got to play Mandarin, it really helps a lot. I think it might help a lot. It might like trying to get to spit this out. Sorry, I would. It's gonna help. I think a lot that uh, it'll help people get over the anger of what they do to Mandarin. Like I said, I'm not a comic book guy, so I'm not, I'm not mad about it. But I know there's gonna be people be mad about it, and I'm interested in hearing the reactions. I haven't read any reactions yet. I didn't listen to anybody's reactions. There's a lot of people that were pretty happy with the movie. I don't know. I didn't hear any people come out of what people's reactions were coming out of the theater, so I can't exactly tell you. But yeah, it's like I said, there are a lot other twists and turns that happen in this movie. One thing I will say that, like I said, there was a few twists and turns. The only negatives, like I said, were, if you want to ask what my negatives were, I would say is that, like I said, some of the twists and turns were throwaway. And honestly, one thing it's kind of minor, is that you get the Rebecca Hall character. Rebecca Hall, who's a great actress, and she's good in this, really good in this. She was the girl that played the main love interest in The Town. She is in this, and honestly, her character could have been cut out from this, and it would have been okay. Her character was pointless. And I remember after I got home, I was like, yeah, that character was really pointless. There was no point to her. But you know what? This movie, other than those little small minor complaints, like I said, some of the twists not really work, or it's coming out left field and not going anywhere, and Rebecca Hall's character being very small, minor, and to the point that honestly she could have been completely cut out. This movie was really good. I love this movie. Like I said, it's really unpredictable. I hope I didn't spoil the Mandarin. I guarantee you won't guess where they're going with what happens to the Mandarin character. I did not spoil the main twist for you. I promise. I would also recommend not going on Wikipedia. I almost got it spoiled. The twist about the Mandarin. I almost got it spoiled because I looked up the Mandarin Wikipedia page, and they talked about like the Mandarin in films, and the character of the Mandarin in films, and they talked about Iron Man 3, and they basically said the twist right on there. So don't read it, for God's sake. What they say on Wikipedia is true, so for once. It's, yeah, like I said, this is a really good movie. I'm trying to think what else I could talk about. There's great supporting cast characters, a lot of people I was a huge fan of. Kara Sedgwick was in this movie. Am I right? I'm trying to look this up real quick. I remember seeing Kara Sedgwick in this movie. Hold on, give me a second. I'm looking on Wikipedia. Hold on, give me a second. I swear Kara Sedgwick was in this. Is she not? I swear to God she was in this movie. Alright, what the hell? I know she was in this. Dude, Kara Sedgwick was in this movie. I swear to God, she was in this movie. Yeah, Kara Sedgwick. I'm 100% sure is in this movie. Sorry about that. Dude, it's gonna bug me now. For some reason, it just doesn't have her in there. I know she was in that. Yeah, she was in that. A very small, very minor role. William Sadler from Tales from the Crypt fame and a really underrated actor. Um, William Sadler he was the star in the first episode of Tales from the Crypt, the man who was deaf. And he also was the star in Demon Knight, if anybody remembers that movie. Love that movie. And Miguel I don't know how to say his name is. He's played a lot of villains in the 90s, like a lot of kids' movies. He was the villain Blank Check. For some reason, I remembered him in that. Why the hell did I remember Blank Check? I have no idea. Um, Man, I'm probably the only one that does. But if you see his face, you know who he is. He's been in a lot of movies. He's one of those guys you don't know his name, and you say, but when you see him, you know who he is. But they both, William Sadler plays president, and Miguel Ferrer plays vice president, the vice president of the United States. I like that. It's like I was happy to see William Sadler in a freaking movie. I hadn't seen him in a while in a movie, and it's always nice to see him pop up in a movie. I really like him as an actor. I don't know what it is, but also John Favreau. John Favreau's still in this movie, which was kind of nice. Yeah, even though he is not directing these movies, he's still starring in it, so that's kind of cool. But anyways, I'm gonna get off here. Now I'm just rambling on about the movie. Like I said, go see this movie. Ow. This movie is really good. Oh yeah, one other thing. People die violently in this movie. This is pretty violent. Some pretty violent deaths in this movie happen in this movie. Good Jesus God, you should see how some people die in this movie. Especially towards the end. Jesus. A lot of people exploding. Let's put it that way. But all right, I'm getting off here. But yeah, like I said, even the violent. Like I said, if you like violent, somewhat semi-violent movies, they basically push the limits on what they can put in PG-13 movie. All right, I'm getting off here now. Like I said, go see this movie. I love this movie. Definitely not the best movie. I don't think the best movie of the year so far, but definitely in my top 5, top 10 so far. And yeah, I think this is a good start. This is a good way to start off the summer season. I'll be back next week with Great Gatsby, which, good God, I'm going in with low expectations, but here's hoping it's great. But alright, I'll see you guys next week. I'll talk to you soon.